Good Shabbos. Last year, in the Major League Baseball draft, two Orthodox Jewish young men were drafted. One was Jacob Steinmetz, who was drafted on the first day of the draft by the Arizona Diamondbacks, and on the next day, the second day of the draft, the Washington Nationals drafted Eli Kliegman. Both of them Orthodox Jews. However, Jacob Steinmetz plays on Shabbat. He doesn't drive to the stadium on Shabbat. He only walks there, but he would play on Shabbat. Whereas Eli Kliegman says Shabbos is for Hashem, and he would not play on Shabbat. Fascinating thing is both come from their parents. Jacob Steinmetz says his parents support him playing on Shabbat because technically it's still technically okay within a enclosed stadium to throw a baseball. Whereas Eli Kliegman, whose parents have become closer to Judaism through the Shluchim in Las Vegas, says that his parents never told him what to do, but they have shown him how to love Shabbos and to keep Shabbos, and Shabbos is for Hashem, so he will not play on Shabbat. And the difference between this is actually the difference between what it says in the first time the Ten Commandments are mentioned in the Torah and the second time the Ten Commandments are mentioned in the Torah. The first time, when the command about Shabbat, the fourth commandment, it says Zachor et Yom HaShabbos l'kadsher, remember the Shabbos day. And in this week's Torah portion, it says Shamar et Yom HaShabbos, remember the Shabbos. And what's the difference between, Shamar, keep the Shabbos. What's the difference between remember and keep on a basic level? Remember is all the positive things we're meant to do on Shabbat. Making Kiddush, having a beautiful meal with family, concentrating on Hashem, on family and community. That's remembering the Shabbat. Shamar, to keep Shabbat, that basically means not to do any of the melachot, any of the works that are not allowed to be done on Shabbat. All the things that the Torah says to not to make a fire on Shabbat, not to carry on Shabbat, not to sow and plow and build and so on and so forth. All the different works that we're not allowed to do on Shabbat all fit into the category of Shamar, guard the Shabbos, that you should not do any work on it. So there's Zachar and Shamor, and we know that this is very significant. For example, a woman lights two Shabbos candles, one for Shamor and one for Zachar. So these two words that introduce us to the mitzvah of Shabbos take a very central role in Shabbos. There's quite deep explanations in what each one means, and I won't share that with you now, but just to share another beautiful thought of Zachar and Shamor. One of the most beautiful places for Shabbat is Tzvat. And the reason is because in Tzvat, the mystics, they introduced the Kabbalah Shabbat as we have it today. Receiving of Shabbat. The evening service, normally beforehand, would have been quite similar to the evening service every other night. There's one psalm that would have been added, Mizmer Shir L'Yom HaShabbos, a song for Shabbat. And other than that, you would have the regular evening service, of course, with a different Amidah associated with Shabbat. But nevertheless, it's more or less similar to the weekday. The Kabbalists initiated that on Shabbat, they would all dress in white, and they would go outside of the city. And there, they would add the number of psalms. And in the center of the prayers was the L'chadodi. That, come, my beloved, let us go towards the Queen and let us receive the Shabbat. And the idea here is that we go out from where we are to receive the Shabbos. We go out of our own place to go and take Shabbos. They go into the west of the city to receive as the sun goes down and accept the Shabbat. The Medrash says that Zachar and Shamar, Zachar before Shabbat and Shamar after Shabbat. What does that mean? It means very simple. we have to show how Shabbos is precious to us, how we love it. So we add to Shabbat. We know that a woman lights candles 18 minutes before sunset. The reason for this is not only as a protection, because once Shabbat comes in, once there is sunset, you cannot light candles. That too. But it's in order to show how much we love Shabbat, so we add to Shabbat. We're going to take a little bit of the weekday and make that Shabbos too. 18 minutes prior to sunset, that as well will be Shabbat. And so too we do at the end of Shabbat. Normally, we can do the evening service at what's called Seit HaKochavim, when the stars come out. But on Shabbat, or after Shabbat, we wait a little bit longer before Shabbos is out, so that we steal a few minutes from a weekday and make it Shabbos. Because when we love Shabbos, we want to expand it. Just exactly, I'm going to start right when it starts and end right when it ends. I can't wait till it ends, chas v'shalom. But rather, I started early. I put on my finest and I go to shul and I'm waiting for Shabbos to come in. I'm sitting and reading the parsha or learning or whatever it might be, and kind of preparing myself for the queen, just like a chassan. A groom goes out of the chuppah to welcome his bride into his home. So we go out to welcome the Shabbos into our life. We do it before, and at the end of Shabbos, we so don't want Shabbos to end, and we just add a few more minutes after Shabbos. We keep the holiness of Shabbos going. So think about this. This week's, when we read the Ten Commandments again, and we read Shamor et Yom HaShabbos L'Kadsham, let's focus our attention, on the positives of Shabbos, making it a beautiful experience for ourselves and our families, and to stretch it, the beginning and the end, being ready for Shabbos. Not we come in the middle of davening of shul, but before it even starts, and have something that we're reading, that we're learning, in order to be there ready for when Shabbos comes in. Good Shabbos.